So I'm going to get back to the aspects of talking about modeling aspects, but with specific photographers. So that way I can essentially update that regard. So I'm going to go through Austin Art and Glamour Photography, which this particular location that I went to was at a guy's condominium. It was a two-story location in Austin. I don't remember his name, the guy's name, but whatchamacallit, kinda looks similar now that I think about it to the Black Rose photography guy, as well as the Dionysian Concepts guy. So I will say that I did stop modeling by my own choice. Partially because of the amount of threats I was receiving. That was not partially, that was a big portion into it. Secondly, I was not being hired. So I figured that because I wasn't being hired, that my modeling was just not good enough in comparison. So it wasn't that I didn't enjoy doing it, I actually did, but no agents ever contacted me. If they did, I obviously did not know about the online hacking or anything like that at the time. But I did not continue with it essentially after, well, realistically, Sam Lewis was the last one that I had modeled for before winding up in Washington State. But before that modeling session, I hadn't modeled with anyone in a while. And so because of that, it was one of those, well, I guess I just don't have the look that that's the way I took it. I mean, granted, I didn't get into modeling initially to make a career out of it, but it was something that I was like, well, maybe something could happen. Maybe, it would be, I could something, but just never was called in for that. So, because of that, because I never got hired, I never was contacted in a professional, like, at least what I thought was professional in the traditional way, where signing a contract, the upfront payment or something like that, that whole thing, I never got that. The different performances that I had done, the few that I did, never got paid. So it was one of those, I guess I'm just not what was of interest. So, plus all the stuff that was going on, albeit everything that was going on as far as my daughter and my son, as far as my daughter, making sure what occurred happened, was taken care of as best as I could, while making sure my son was taken care of. It wasn't that I wasn't, kind of hoping that somehow I could be hired on and then be able to pay for everything. However, I didn't have that luxury. And if there were those who did attempt to contact me, I obviously didn't know about the stalking or hacking or any of that stuff when it comes to the technology stuff. So I did initially start it for myself, but because nobody contacted me back, it was one of those, okay, well, I guess I just don't have that particular look. That was the only reasoning that I could come up with at that time. I pretty much figured there were, I wasn't willing to continue only doing it for TFP. Initially, yes, because of getting used to what I look like, but at a point in time, there was where I was looking to actually, I wouldn't have paid for the platinum membership for Model Mayhem if I wasn't interested in actually, at that point, attempting to lift myself out of the situation and stuff. However, that didn't occur, so I did what I could in other ways. Though I'll just leave it at that and not focus on that particular aspect. So, I'll go into the pictures of this aspect of modeling. So, there's one picture that I had done. I had done the makeup myself, by the way, and those were my glasses. I did have that for a while. So, and you can see the progression. That would be because of the lack of color being done in that one. So let me put a quick little pause on that because of that particular picture. So with that image, I had explained to people that when it comes to my tattoos, very, very particular. Each tattoo has its own meaning, spiritual stuff, all that sort of stuff. And you can see the difference between this tattoo. I'll go back to that picture. So this tattoo, there is one underneath it that has the golden spiritual symbol. And I think, no, you cannot see it. No, you can barely see it in there. I'll point it out. But then I wanted this portion to go over it to match in certain ways to this, where there is the spiritual symbol here, but having the flowers. And so the male that technically was in a relationship with at the time, more so that he was a submissive, and then he tried to top from the bottom, and that didn't go so well at all whatsoever. Obviously, and similarly to Cactus Jack, I had to literally pack his stuff and drive him back to the city that got him at, and just anyway. So went to a tattoo shop for this particular set, and Philip Olmsted, or Darko on FetLife, had it back in that time. He had wanted to see what it was like when I got a tattoo, and I was like, all right, well, just be quiet and don't bother the tattoo artist. And he was just like, oh, okay. And I'm like, no. While the tattoo artist is doing what the tattoo artist does, I meditate, I do my prayers, I do not need you opening your mouth. Well, about 2.5, 3 hours into this, I came out of my meditation. And it was because of the amount of pressure that was being put into that tattoo. And I open my eyes and I look around, and the tattoo artist was very much just digging in to my hand. And anybody who has a hand tattoo knows that it doesn't tickle to begin with. But those who have ever had any anger run through their veins when they're writing can get an example of what it was like when getting a tattoo for that. For if if you don't have tattoos, not everybody has tattoos, not everybody needs them. But in reference to those who don't have tattoos or have not done tattoos, think about when you've been angry and try writing, and then, think about that going into your flesh on your hand. But they're debating the topic of politics, which I can talk politics along with a whole bunch of other people. But doing it in a tattoo shop while somebody's getting a tattoo, there is a time and there is a place. And that was neither the time nor the place, because he was told to keep his mouth shut and not bother anything. But instead, Philly, or Philip Armstead, wanted to do the little titty baby temper tantrum. And so while the tattoo artist had one political view, particularly, Philip titty baby Armstead had a complete different view. And so apparently they had been debating politics the whole time I was meditating, but because they got to a point where the tattoo artist was getting extremely aggravated, I came out of my tattoo meditation and prayer. And I look at the tattoo artist, and visibly angry, obviously. And my hand's just being worked on, and I look at Titty Baby Philly, and I'm like, what are you doing, boy? And you can't talk to me like that. Boy, I told you to keep your mouth shut while I get my tattoo done. I told you to not speak at all. You did not have permission to speak. I told you the only way you were allowed to go with me to the shop is if you would shut your face and not annoy the tattoo artist, and in turn, annoy me. Well, the tattoo artist was kind of lightened up that touch real quick. Get him. Get him. It's like, I can't. And so instead of Titty Baby Philly shutting his pie hole, and instead of just corking it, shutting up, I don't give a whatever word you want to use, put a dick in it, I don't care. Shut it. Boy wouldn't shut it. And it was one of those, you better be glad that I am right-handed, because I really want to use my hand right now. But, you know what, tattoo artist guy? And he goes, well, what? I'm like, I need a cigarette break. I need to breathe for a second and kind of process what just happened. And he was just like, oh, okay. And then the tattoo artist, he cleaned up the stuff, cleaned up my hand, and then looks over at Titty Baby Philly, or Philip Armstead, and goes, ooh, she mad at you. And I look at the tattoo artist, I'm like, you have no idea. You really have no idea. And he was like, no, I have an idea how mad you are. So you go take that cigarette break, you go breathe as long as you need to. And I'm like, mm-hmm. So then I go outside with a real cigarette instead of an e-cigarette. And I am pacing back and forth, just back and forth, pacing. And Titty Baby Philly decides that he needs to go outside to speak with me. And I look at him, I'm like, what do you want? And he looked at me, he was like, well, I just wanted to see. Shut your face. The sound of your voice annoys me. The sight of you is infuriating to me. I don't want to have anything to do with you. And as a matter of fact, because you could not listen, it's over. And you go, what? I'm like, I already broke up with you before, and you, for whatever excuse, are still in the rental house. But get away. It is, I broke up with him, even though, like, we were already over multiple times. It was like, I'm being friendly, not because we're in a relationship, but because I'm a friendly person. Do not mistake that. Do not make the mistake of thinking because I am a friendly person that all of a sudden we're back together, because we're not. I'm not interested in you. I don't care about you. I am being as nice as I possibly can. We're not dating. We're not gonna date. I don't want anything to do with you. Now, before I continue and go to this, I will say that when I was in Montana, I think it was 2018. I think it was 2018. I had heard that song by If I Wrote You a Love Song and Sang It to You Every Day, that song, that country song. And in the car, I murmured to myself, oh, that would be nice. You know, and in the rest of my thoughts, instead of speaking out loud in the murmuring, you know, because I continued thinking and stuff like that. I'm like, I can think of a few individuals that'd be nice, and continue on with my thoughts. But I blurted out in a little brief, you know, just, would be nice. Well, get to the Ponderosa Hotel, the Econo Lodge in Great Falls. And I wound up getting a hotel room that was on the same floor as the pool and water fountain. Maybe I could go swimming. That'd be pretty cool. Get into the hotel room, and I hear a guitar out by the water fountain. Look through the window, move the curtain. I was like, nice to hear what's going on. Okay. Went to go to the door. The door was locked. And not just because of it being locked from inside, but like apparently the maintenance guy had done something. A bunch of the components for inside of the door were on the table. I was like, well, not important enough for me to go out of my hotel room. So I'll just, you know, do whatever. And thinking back now, the back of the head, as well as the type of flip-flops that Titty Baby Philly wore back then, being on the same individual-ish, and the same type of hair as one of those. If, hypothetically, that was Titty Baby Philip Olmsted, that was at the fountain playing a guitar, it is a very good thing. Very good thing that the maintenance guy was doing whatever he did, or she, not being sexist, but to prevent me from being able to go out the door. It might have been 2017. It might not have been 2018. It might have been 2017. Either way, No, it was 2017 because 2018 I went and stayed in a Missoula hotel. So it's 2017. And it was just one of those, it is, if hypothetically that was Titty Baby Philip Armstead, it is a very, very, very good thing that there are those compassionate, honorable, and righteous ones. Because if I had actually been able to go out the door and go out to the fountain area, and if that individual turned around and that was Titty Baby Philly or Philip Armstead, ooh. As aggravated as I was as to how many people were in the Nebraska cemetery that shouldn't have been there during the solar eclipse, that would not have ended well. Pun intended, since fountains are also known as wells. And so, hypothetically, that was Philip Armstead. He should be so thankful he's still breathing. Though, if he had caused problems to my Medal of Honor art project and or did hacking and or stalking, well, then I don't know, that's kind of a bittersweet sword to swallow there, pun intended, because of the fact that if had caused problems for my Medal of Honor art project and or anything else, it's a lot of people to anger. And then realistically, I would be the least of that boy's concern. Especially in the state of Texas. Especially in the state of Texas. So I'm gonna go back and but before, so I found this place later on once Teddy Baby Philly was out of the house finally. Found this place called Dovetail Tattoo. So when I found it all female tattoo shop, and the only males that worked there were bouncers, guards type of thing, and female did the rest of the work. She did phenomenal. And it wasn't in any offense towards the male who had initially started. It was just one of those, I can't. I can't. I already paid in full too. I technically paid twice, literally and figuratively, for the jasmine and lavender tattoo. However, yeah, it was better in the long run because of that. Yeah. So, but I will say before going on, the place in downtown Austin, the all-female tattoo shop, they really, really, truly did do a wonderful. It was actually quite difficult for me to choose which artist I was going to go with, because all of them had phenomenal portfolios. So I'm gonna go back to this and I'll show you the difference real quick so you can see that. So there's that, and then you can see the difference in that. So the blues and stuff like that with the lavenders and stuff, and then there's that. And not that the male tattoo artist didn't do good, it was just, again, that situation. So then there's another image. Now the photographer had put wrapping paper on the wall for that. So, and as you can see, I have ruffle bottoms, and that's my platypus tattoo. And so I just did a couple different ones, and he had one of the rooms in the condo 2-story he had set up like that. So, but yeah, and I think yeah, he said that there was a bedroom in the upstairs area, and so. But yeah, I had done a few different types of imagery pictures, and you can see the seam from the paper there behind it, behind the picture of me, and paper right there. And so, and you can again see the progression of the tattoos in that aspect. So that is the end of that particular modeling session with Austin Art and Glamour, I think is what it was. Oh, yeah. So, you guys have a good one.